Ever wondered, who am I really meant to be and what am I supposed to be doing with my life? For highly sensitive women, societal shoulds and outside expectations drown out our inner voice, leaving us unsure and disconnected from the deeper purpose that's been waiting quietly inside us all along. In this episode, you'll discover a gentle shift and practices that help you reconnect with who you are at your core and uncover your authentic purpose in a way that feels aligned and true to you. Hey lady, welcome to the Highly Sensitive Woman podcast. Do you struggle with self-doubt, setting boundaries, or feeling overwhelmed? My name is Alyssa, and I'm a highly sensitive woman who spent years trying to fit in, ignoring my own needs, and living in constant fear of disappointing others. But I finally discovered the power of embracing who I am, and now I don't feel so broken. In this podcast, you'll learn to find your voice, set boundaries, and live with bold confidence and inner peace. Grab a cozy blanket. It's time to connect with someone just like you. Welcome back to another episode of The Highly Sensitive Woman. This is episode 31, and if it is your first episode or your 31st, I'm just so glad that you are here. And I wanted to talk a little bit about how I chose the title of this podcast. The highly sensitive woman is a term that I have chosen to kind of wear as a badge of honor. And that has not always been the case. When I first discovered the term highly sensitive person, it was really helpful to me to know that I was not alone in the world. And yet I still wasn't really ready to embrace my reality of being a highly sensitive woman. And as I have grown in my self-acceptance and my confidence, it really feels pretty empowering. And I've learned how to own those sensitivities as a gift and really allowed them to be a tool that I use in finding and fulfilling my purpose. But for so long, that was something that I really, really struggled with and didn't know why I was here or what I was supposed to be doing. And so many of us do ask the question, who am I really meant to be, and feel so disconnected from our true purpose. And that could not be more spot on for me. Like many highly sensitive women, I absorbed the cultural scripts and messaging that are out there about who I should be and kind of lost touch with who I really longed to be, because those societal expectations are really, really loud and they can very easily drown out our inner desires. We get things like be practical, don't be too much, take the safe path. And who you are meant to be has been with you from the very beginning, and it is time to reconnect with who you truly are and uncover the purpose that has been waiting deep inside you. And I want to be a part of that. And if I can just give you like a little nudge or a little nugget that can help, I want that for you. So it can be really hard to know who you're meant to be, and your purpose can feel very, very elusive because we tend to, not just as highly sensitive women, but just women in general, we over-identify with our roles or the expectations or the labels that are handed down by others to us. I mean, so often when you meet someone, you're like, oh, tell me a little bit about yourself. I mean, how frequently do we lead with the role that we play in our family, whether it is mom or wife or sister or daughter, and then we lead or follow that with what it is that we do for a living. And that's not really who we are meant to be in our purpose a lot of the time. That's not to say that that is not true some of the time, but it just kind of gets lost in these roles and expectations and labels that are handed down to us. And then, because we are highly sensitive women, our sensitivities kind of magnify those outside voices, which makes it even harder to hear your own. And there's also this just kind of underlying unspoken rule, which is very much a myth and not a rule at all, that our identity and purpose are fixed and they're actually like evolving and can change over time. And sometimes we get so locked in on it has to be one thing and we never get to change it that we kind of don't allow ourselves to dream a new dream and to challenge some of the messaging that has been given to us and question, well, do I really have to do that? I mean, I know that's what I've been doing for 10 years, but do I have to continue doing that? And there is a pretty significant cost of losing that connection with yourself. So some signs that will tell you that you are kind of out of alignment and living by someone else's version for your life. If you feel like you are simply going through the motions, or you feel very unseen, or this one is a huge one for me, second guessing everything. That's a pretty strong indicator that you are living out of alignment and someone else's vision for your life. You know, there is a common response that you will get from people when you ask them, how are you? You know, a lot of times people will say, I'm living the dream. And my standard response to that over the last couple of years, is it your dream or someone else's? And it is remarkable the number of times that causes the other person to just kind of pause for a moment. And more often than not, the response, whether it is completely true in that moment or just an opportunity to kind of make a joke, is most of the time people say, I'm not sure that it is mine, or, you know, maybe this is someone else's dream. And so I challenge you, if you are feeling unseen or feel like you're going through the motions or second guessing everything, really asking yourself, is this my dream or is this someone else's? Because I know for me, for a very long time, I was really good at what I was doing professionally, and I was going through the motions and looking pretty stellar, honestly. And it was not my dream. It was not the vision that I had for my life, and it certainly did not feel like my purpose. And I was emotionally exhausted, and that can be another pretty clear indicator that you are not living the purpose that was designed for you, because your life looks fine on the outside, but it feels really off on the inside, and you feel burnout, and there's a lot of self-doubt, or even things that look on the outside like you're being really successful, like you're being recognized and awarded and all those types of things, but they feel very hollow. You know, you just notice that you're losing connection with the natural strengths that you have that make you unique and that come from being a highly sensitive woman. And purpose isn't about perfection or performance and, you know, chasing some sort of ideal. It's about being in alignment and uncovering what's already inside of you. For me, my dream of being a doctor, I thought for a long time, was kind of about the, you know, societal prestige of what it was like to be a doctor and the life that it was going to afford me. But when I really got still and quiet, what was in alignment for me and what was already inside of me from the very beginning was my desire to help others. And I have now found a way that feels very authentic to who I am, and using everything that has happened in my life and my journey to help others in a way that naturally kind of taps into the strengths and the kindness and the compassion and all the feelings that I feel all the time as a highly sensitive woman. And when you know and honor who you are, your purpose just kind of flows more naturally. I have been very blessed to hear from some of you, and your words are so incredibly kind. And I thank you when you say things like, oh my gosh, you're just kind of a natural at this podcast. That's what happens when you are kind of knowing who you are and honoring who you are. It just sort of flows out of you very naturally. And other people start to see it in you, sometimes even before you can see it in yourself. So one of the things that you can do to start figuring out and honoring you is looking for activities or conversations or environments that you are in that really light you up. That's something that I noticed when I decided that I wanted to be a coach and I wanted to have a podcast and to help others in this way. I observed that when I was having these same conversations with my friends and family as part of my everyday life, it just really lit me up, and I felt so fulfilled in having those conversations that I wanted to do it even more. And I just want to give you permission that you don't have to fit any sort of mold, that you can let go of society's version of what success is, and you can embrace your own definition. There's also a big component to recognizing that your sensitivity is part of your design and your makeup, and it is not a flaw. And that's an area where I have really grown, because I used to think that I could not be successful, again, based on the societal definition of what success is, because I require more sleep maybe than the average person, or because I need some downtime. And I saw this as some sort of flaw, and it's really not. It is just part of who I am, and it's part of who you are. And there are so many wonderful things that come from that. And when we tap into it and stop trying to force it away or just ignore it and pretend like it's not an actual thing, that's when we can really start to hone in on what lights us up, what allows us to be our best, and then we start finding our purpose. And then when we find it, we can start really living it. So some practices for rediscovering who you're meant to be and unlocking your purpose. Here are a couple of questions that can help. 1, what did I love before I was told who I should be? Here's another one. When do I feel most alive? What am I drawn to even when it doesn't, quote, make sense? All of these are really good questions to tap into who you are and get really still and quiet. Maybe spend some time in solitude, in some meditation or some mindfulness. Tap into creativity. This is one that I have been doing a lot of lately. I have done the solitude for sure. Meditation has been incredibly life-changing for me. And lately, creativity has been one that has been really helping me with some of those definitions that maybe needed some shifting or some redefining for sure. And that can help really tune into your inner voice and your inner desires. And then just start experimenting. Try some small, low stakes actions that feel aligned with what feels really meaningful and purposeful for you. And that will just allow you to test it out and then check in with yourself and what was good about that, what didn't feel maybe quite so in alignment, what would you try differently, and just keep experimenting until you find what feels like really aligned and really meaningful and really purposeful. And finally, your identity and your purpose are dynamic. They are not fixed. So give yourself permission to evolve and expand both of those things. Expand your identity, expand your purpose, because who you are and what you want to do very likely will change over time. One that I am finding really interesting that has been changing for me over the last probably 12 to 18 months is the way that I want to dress. And it has nothing to do with changes in fashion. It has everything to do with who I am and changes in my identity and my purpose. And I'm finding that the clothes in my closet don't feel like they are in alignment. And so I have been starting to make a shift there. So it's just interesting where those things will show up. And I know what I wear doesn't really have anything to do with my purpose necessarily, but when you start finding your purpose and living in alignment, you will notice other things start to change and shift, and you have permission, not that you need it from me, you can give yourself this permission to allow things to always be evolving and shifting, and that includes your identity and your purpose. You don't have to figure it out all at once. It's going to grow as you listen to yourself. And so the key here is to just begin by reconnecting with who you already are. And every action that you take to silence the external noise and honor your true self naturally reveals more of your purpose and brings you closer to your authentic, aligned path. And so I just invite you to take one of these small actions today toward reconnecting with your deepest desires and honoring who you were meant to be from the very beginning. If this was helpful, would you take a moment to share this episode with another sensitive woman who feels lost in the expectations of society and those around her and maybe longing for clarity? And then let me know how the actions that you are taking are helping you reconnect to who you are and finding your purpose, because I want to celebrate you and your purpose. Take care. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share it with a friend who may be feeling like she's broken too? I'd love it if you'd leave a quick review for the show on Apple Podcasts. It brings me so much joy to know this podcast is helping you. Now it's time for me to stop talking and go soothe my senses in nature. I'll meet you back here next week for another episode. Take care.